I'm Matthew Hardy, and as Raz said, I'm a Director of Engineering here at Adobe and have been working with PDF for many years. And one of my roles is working with ISO and the PDF Association to continue developing standards. Today, I'm here to tell you a little bit about 32005, a standard that's designed to combine the properties of PDF 1.7 and 2.0, driving accessibility, reflow, and reuse. So that's my topic for today. However, before I jump straight into that, I do want to talk a little bit about PDF itself and some of the challenges we've seen with PDF over the years. Many of you will know that Adobe released PDF in 1993, and it was originally called the Camelot Project. And John Warnock, the CEO of Adobe, set forth the goal for PDF to be, this project's goal is to solve a fundamental problem that confronts today's companies. The problem is concerned with our ability to communicate visual material between different computer applications and systems. And when we set out with that goal, computers looked very different than they do today. The challenge was that there was no good format for distributing visual material across systems and having reliable document interchange. It was just a very different world, and this was one of the key fundamental challenges that people faced. And so PDF came in to do that, and I think it was very successful in doing that. However, when we look at what the world of systems looks like today, it's very different, right? We don't have these simple monolithic computers, but we're talking about devices, we're talking about watches to wall-sized screens and everything in between. Not included here are things like car systems and other things that want to speak material, want to talk to you. And so how does PDF play in that space? How does PDF address the needs of something so much more flexible than when it started in the early 90s? And so that's what I want to talk to you a bit about today. PDF has been incredibly successful. It acts really well as a document of record. You can think of it in many ways as digital paper. What you see on the screen is what's going to be seen on every person's screen. Now, we all know that there are challenges even there, printers, configurations, color management. It's not quite as straightforward as I'm making out here, but in reality, PDF has been incredibly successful in delivering that promise of visual fidelity across systems. And it really has been that success story. It really is capturing exactly what you have. And the challenge with that has been the most general path to getting a PDF has been printing to PDF. And that's caused many challenges. You get perfect visual fidelity, but what you lose out on is the rich semantic information, the structure, the fundamental building blocks that made up the original document that allow it to be reused for so many things. And so PDF has been incredibly successful, there's no doubt, and it's definitely a perfect digital paper in many ways. But when we think about the challenges now, it goes far beyond perfect visual fidelity of documents. And so it's with this we talk about tagged PDF. Sorry for the big word cloud here, but PDF has tagging, and this is the information we need, I believe, to build a future for PDF, and it's upon this that we're building standards like 32005 and other related standards. So this is what I'm going to talk about today. So let's just touch on tagged PDF for a second. So PDF has been around nearly 30 years now. PDF actually didn't take that long to follow. It was released in very early 2000, 2001 in fact. It was part of the PDF 1.4 standard. And there'd actually been several of the tagged PDF building blocks released over subsequent years. PDF 1.2 introduced a concept called marked content, which allowed authors and creators of PDF to basically put information and metadata into the content streams of the PDF to designate what things were. But that was just private information. PDF 1.3 extended that with the concept of logical structure, the idea that you could describe a document by a hierarchy, and you could describe those inclusion rules. But at the time, there was no defined tag set or standard structure types. It was just something that any company, any individual could use, but it wasn't something that was understood as interchangeable. It wasn't until PDF 1.4 that tagged PDF was introduced that defined things like standard structure types, standard attribute types, and you had the concept of a tagged document that was well understood and semantically interchangeable. And it has many use cases. In fact, in its earliest version that were already thinking about things beyond just accessibility. Accessibility has always been one of the key drivers. We'll talk about that in subsequent slides. But it was for more than that, including things like content reuse, reflow, extraction. Fundamentally, the idea was, can I understand the reading order of a document? Can I consistently extract the text in a meaningful form? Can I understand the semantics of that text to allow it to be transformed and also access things like figures, have accessibility information like alt text? And so this is what tagged PDF has been there for a long time. But as I said earlier, this path to printing to PDF has been a huge challenge. It's been one of the things that has prevented tagged PDF from being a dominant version of PDF, because it's so easy to capture the visual fidelity but lose all that rich semantic information. Although we weren't trying to directly address it, ISO 32000 Part 2, PDF 2.0, did try to refresh tagging. PDF had had it since 1.4, as I said on the previous slide, and through PDF 1.7, small enhancements had been made. But there was starting to be a lot of complexity to tagging documents. People didn't really know how to apply the tags. They weren't very well described in PDF 1.7. The rules for inclusion were somewhat imprecise. And so there were a lot of challenges to tagging documents with PDF 1.7. There was also an inability to interchange any document more complex than the standard structure types. There was no way for me to describe to another person if I was extending the tag set, if I was adding new types, if I decided I wanted to have something richer than what the basic standard had. And so one of the challenges there was, unlike XML and other systems, there was no namespace concept, no idea that you could identify what your tags were and what you meant by them. So in PDF 2.0, we set out to significantly improve tagging in PDF. We created a second tag set that was cleaner and simpler. The idea that it's a building block for new tag sets that are richer and more complex, and is a much more interchangeable base tag set. But we reduced complexity not only in the tag set, but also by providing very, very accurate descriptions of what we thought things were, how to use them, and such. We added the concept of namespaces to enable interchange of richer tag sets. So if someone wants to add something richer than the defaults that we put into PDF, they can do so, and they can describe it in a way that another processor can actually consume that content. So this makes PDF 2.0 tagging much more powerful. But it is worth mentioning that we didn't remove anything in PDF 2.0. Both the PDF 1.0 and PDF 2.0 element types are both available, but how and when to use them becomes a big challenge. And it's this challenge that 32005 particularly is targeting to address. So, and this is where I'm going to spend some of my time. So I mentioned the concept of namespaces. The idea is that we now have in PDF, PDF 1.7 and a PDF 2.0 namespace. They're both defined in PDF 2.0 and they're both usable. A PDF 2.0 document can solely use PDF 1.7 tags, or it can use PDF 2.0 tags. In principle, they coexist. Both tag sets are allowed and permissible, and in principle can actually be used together. But the interaction between the two was completely undefined in PDF 2.0. We said it was possible, but we didn't say what it meant. There was a gap. As I said earlier, the PDF 2.0 namespace has some real advantages. It's got a cleaner definition of structure types, much better guidance on usage, and we have a whole annex dedicated in 32000 Part 2 called Annex L that provides basically a schema for the PDF 2.0 namespace. So this tells me I can include this tag within this tag, and this is what it means. So the goal of that was to make it much more predictable and much more interchangeable than in PDF 1.7. But we did leave, as I say, this PDF 1.7 namespace. However, we only loosely defined it. What I mean by that is we effectively said, this exists, it was defined in the PDF 1.7 standard, and it's permissible here in this standard, but we're not going to redefine it. We're just going to point back to 32000 Part 1, PDF 1.7, and we're not going to do anything to clean up the definitions. We're not going to give you a schema for its use. You have to rely on what was already there in 32000 Part 1. And it was also a little bit unclear as to how and when you could use the new PDF 2.0 attributes in the context of PDF 1.7. So these were some key challenges, and we started to hear challenges in the community related to, well, I still have to tag my documents for accessibility. I still need to have my tables of contents, my different constructs that basically glossaries, indexes, and things like that that allow me to basically interchange the material I have. But you don't have these concepts in PDF 2.0. Why can't I use those? And despite our attempts to try to talk to the fact that you could actually use them, PDF 1.7 was available still, the PDF 1.7 tag set was still there. We realized that that wasn't coming through, that message wasn't being heard, and it was incredibly unclear in 32,000 Part 2 in how to use those together. So this is where 32,005 comes in, a new ISO standard. It's a small ISO standard. This isn't a redefinition of PDF or anything like that. It's specifically focused on unifying these two namespaces, the PDF 2.0 and PDF 1.7 namespace. The first thing we did, we took the PDF 1.7 namespace and we gave cleaner definitions of those elements that are unique to the PDF 1.7 namespace. So basically, PDF 2.0 does overlap PDF 1.7 significantly. There's a lot of repeat tags, tables, lists, headings, paragraphs. Many tags exist in both tags. And so what we said is the PDF 2.0 definition of those tags is very good and it's very well specified. We're not going to re-specify things that are already well defined in PDF 2.0. But for those elements that were only in PDF 1.7, we're going to clarify the definitions. We're going to make it clear. We're not going to make them incompatible with PDF 1.7. This is really important. They're still completely compatible with their understanding from PDF 1.7. But we've tried to make it clearer to those people trying to use them exactly how and when to use them. And that includes examples of usage and the intent of those tags to try to make it clearer why you're using a given tag at a given point in time. And we ensure in ISO 32005 that namespaces are always used to give clarity on what you mean by a given tag. And so it elevates the namespace concept and makes it required for documents. It is worth saying that we still allow pure PDF 1.7 documents, but the focus of 32005 is combining these two namespaces, allowing you to benefit from both access, the cleanliness of PDF 2.0, but with some of the richness that may have been lost from PDF 1.7. We also took on some of the PDF 2.0 attributes. We made it very clear that the attributes defined in ISO 32000 Part 2 are a superset of those defined in 32000 Part 1. We didn't deprecate or remove any attributes, we just extended them. But then in principle, there's no reason why a PDF 2.0 attribute doesn't equally apply to a PDF 1.7 namespace element. And so we did define that basically when you're processing a document that complies with ISO 32005, that you're effectively processing all attributes as though they are PDF 2.0 attributes. And that doesn't change any definitions, but it does extend their capabilities and add new ones that people can use. And they can be applied to any element, regardless of whether it was for PDF 1.7 or PDF 2.0. We also focused heavily on interchange. As I said earlier, ISO 32005 does allow what we consider a pure PDF 1.7 document. You already have a PDF 1.7 document. Now you need to add a structure destination, which is only available in the PDF 2.0 standard. We don't want you to have to completely retag the document to conform to its rules. But any time that you actually do extend the tagging, any time you start to bring in the advanced features of PDF 2.0, those attributes, whether it's the new tags, then you do have to conform to the rules of PDF 2.0. Then you do have to define namespaces and you have to put markers into the document to identify that the document is conforming to ISO 32005. So basically, if you want to use it, if you want to take advantage of the value of 32005, then you have this rich document that is always namespaced and can combine PDF 2.0 and PDF 1.7 elements. We also took the concept of Annex L, which we've internally referred to as our mega table for many years. The mega table concept is one of basically understanding the schema of a document. So we've defined a schema for the PDF 2.0 tags in 32000 Part 2, but we intentionally left it ambiguous for PDF 1.7. ISO 32005 closes that gap. It completes the schema across both 1.7 and 2.0 namespaces. So it now has a unified extended schema that is completely compatible with ISO 32000 Part 2. So if you build one of these documents, you will never contradict or fall foul of any of the rules in PDF 2.0, it just extends them to understand PDF 1.7, which was left ambiguous. We use the PDF 2.0 definitions for all element types when they're common. So P's, H's, H1 through N, all of these are understood in the PDF 2.0 namespace. But the unique PDF 1.7 elements, the TOCs, the indexes, those types of elements are now available again, and they're described how they're included into this rich combined tag set. And as I said earlier, there is an exclusion just in case that someone just wants to use a small feature of PDF and isn't trying to comply with all of these requirements. The outcome, I believe, from 32005 is that we now have an expanded set of semantics for our documents. The common misunderstandings, so the common misunderstanding of the community that PDF 1.7 elements were gone, that you couldn't use them in a PDF 2.0 context, and therefore any standards that were downstream of that, such as PDF UA and well-typed PDF, you wouldn't be able to use them. And this was not true, but it was commonly misunderstood, and 32005 is really trying to help everyone understand that these elements are usable, they're available to you when tagging documents. And there's clear guidance on how to include those elements in a PDF 2.0 document using PDF 2.0 namespace. So now we have no loss of the rich semantics that we had in PDF 1.7, but we still get all the benefits of PDF 2.0, really clear element definitions, good attribute support. Hopefully, we'll see this make it easier to use tagged PDF in the future. And it's compatible. Just to emphasize this, ISO 32005 is completely compliant with 32000 Part 2. It does not contradict it. It does not break any of the rules from 32000 Part 2. And as such, it's not an extension. Unlike some of the other standards that you might have been seeing at the PDF Association's PDF Days conference, things like extensions to cryptography and such, these are not extensions. These are very clearly rules and processing instructions in compliance with 32000 Part 2. We think it clarifies any ambiguity in tagging in PDF 2.0 documents, and it's now available in downstream use cases for any standard that wants to use it. The first standard that's going to use it is PDF UA Part 2, ISO 14289 Part 2. So I think most of you know this is the gold standard for accessible documents in PDF format. It defines high quality tagging. Part 1 basically was the PDF 1.7 version, and PDF UA there focuses highly on the tagging of documents, but not necessarily on things like attributes, particularly for layout. But as we've realized over the years, accessibility is far more than just being available to a screen reader. That is fundamentally important and critical, but it's not the only accessibility we face. People need to be able to potentially magnify content, reflow it, and so there are a lot of things that you need in the document beyond just identifying the text, language, reading order, so much information. And ISO 14289 Part 2 really builds on this. And more importantly, it defines itself on top of the 32005 standards. So basically, PDF UA Part 2 is a use of PDF 2.0 in conformance with 32005. And this enables far broader use cases than Part 1. So as I said, screen readers are the start and the most important, I think, with magnification, the ability to adapt contrast. All of these capabilities come through the use of tagged PDF in the 32005 standard. So PDF UA Part 2 is, we're hoping to publish next year, and it's going to define itself based on the 32005 standard. But we've had a very strict focus with tagged PDF on accessibility for many years, and for very good reasons. There's a lot of regulatory requirements around accessibility. People have to make the documents accessible to be available to everyone. It's a really important and critical use case, but I think it has caused some tunnel vision on what's important when you're tagging a document. Historically, even certain types of accessibility have been ignored, and I mentioned some of those on the previous slide. Things like the ability to magnify and reflow content hasn't been available. Maybe I can magnify the content, but then I have to scroll around the screen, pan and scan on that document to actually access the content. Now we really care about those features. We really want to make PDF UA documents best in class for adaptability, for accessibility. There's also been a gap in tagging. I mentioned earlier the challenges of creating a good document because of the print path, but it goes beyond that. A lot of people don't author documents for accessibility or for tagging. And the presence of tags in a document alone, and the presence of a structure tree, does not indicate high quality tagged PDF content. And so basically, we haven't been able to rely on that marker. And that means there's inconsistent use of tags, often lacking the important attributes that allow us to adapt that content to screens and other devices. And it's really limited us to what is basically text extraction of documents with some very, very basic semantics. So there's another standard that we've been developing at the PDF Association called well-tagged PDF. This mandates optional features in tagged PDF that increase the ability to interchange semantic information and richness that allow use cases far beyond just accessibility. Now, as someone who is passionate about accessibility, has worked in the accessibility space for many years, accessibility is really important. But that doesn't mean other things can't be also important. And content reuse, reflow, and extraction, the adaptability of content is just critical to a document. And so well-tagged tries to expand the rules of tagging documents to make it good for all these use cases. Now, it doesn't ignore the other standards, and we'll get to that in a second, but it does identify when a PDF is well-tagged, when it's been designed for this use case. And so there is a marker in a PDF that you can now specify with well-tagged PDF that indicates that it's a high-quality tagged PDF designed for rich interchange beyond just accessibility, although it should still be a good accessible experience, and that's always been our desire. We now combine these three standards, 32005, well-tagged, and PDF UA, to have a best-in-class standard for PDF and semantic PDF. So the three standards are aligned by design. 32005 provides the schemas, the definitions, all the information that we presented earlier. But UA and well-tagged then extend that to define the rules for these use cases. A well-tagged PDF is designed to be output from producers and converters automatically. While it's still as strict as UA, we understand that the regulatory compliance will be different. PDF UA will be looked to for ensuring accessibility, that you're meeting the various requirements of different countries to have accessible material. Here in the US, Section 508 ADA standards define basically what is needed in a standard, things like WCAG and such. And so basically, you will have that with PDF UA, and you can combine those. And so a best-in-class document is a PDF UA document that has that well-tagged PDF marker that combines all these requirements into a single document built on top of ISO 32005. And we're already seeing one use case for this. Now, I'm telling this story a little bit backwards. The PDF Association has been working on derivation of HTML from PDF for many years, and it's published standards on this. The derivation specification out of the PDF Association has been published for many years now. But one of the first tests of well-tagged and PDF UA Part 2 have been updating the derivation spec and using this derivation spec to drive those standards to show that we can actually produce high-quality interchangeable documents that can be driven to HTML. HTML is just one use case. It's not the be-all and end-all, but it's a very powerful use case for many people. It enables things like access to the accessibility APIs that the web provides, which is one of the richest APIs in the world. And it's all powered by this well-defined tagged PDF out of well-tagged PDF, out of PDF UA Part 2, and out of ISO 32005. And so it's been really exciting to do this. It's really important that we validate these use cases when we do these sorts of things. But the opportunities are endless. When we think about the device space that we have going into the future, we have modern device support. Lots of different vendors, including Adobe, have provided software that allows you to adapt content to small screens. And the way we do that is powering it by this well-tagged PDF, by these tagged PDF standards, all built now on this ISO 32005 standards. But it goes beyond just small screens. As I mentioned earlier, when I get into my car, the ability to continue listening to my PDF document can be driven by that semantics. It's not just listening if I need to skip chapters, if I need to navigate around my content. It's that tagging defined in ISO 32005, built on PDF 2.0, that powers those experiences. And so we have so much opportunity when it comes to this. And then the one thing that everyone forgets, and we hear bad things about PDF when it comes to data, but these standards unlock that rich data that was captured into the PDF in the first place. So basically, PDF isn't a place where data goes to die, as it's being called, but is a place where data can be encoded, enriched, and we have lots of enhancements in PDF 2.0 with things like associated files for enhancing that document beyond just the basic 2D layout capabilities the PDF is so famous for. I'm plussing over 3D, but its 2D format is obviously what makes it so powerful today. But there's many more opportunities. The more information we encode and semantically put into the document, the more powerful PDF can become, and the more suitable it will be for future use cases. And so ISO 32005 is intended to drive those future capabilities and future standards. And I'm hoping that well-tagged in PDF UA will continue to expand and grow in capabilities based on that standard.